Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome, Mr. Ravi Swaminathan. Hello.
Hello, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, welcome to the author meetup. So this is our first virtual author meetup wherein we have invited you.
भेज दीजिए.
First, introduction. So we have shared the link with all our book readers. So we would like to have an interactive session with them. Okay. Hello. Welcome all. Yeah. All our book readers are joining, sir. So within a couple of minutes, you can start your, introduction and you can just go ahead with it.
Okay. Permission to record?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, you just tell
And
me
also,
when
sir,
we
if it is
start.
possible, you can record there also.
Yeah, you're recording there
place.
also. Yeah.
Right, please. Yeah.
It's written there.
Yes,
Please
yes.
ask the
Welcome, Mr.
host to give you
Madhumurthy.
permission to record. So when I'm pressing the record button, it says, please ask the host to give you permission to record.
Yeah. No, I'm recording it. I'll share it with you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I'll share the complete Zoom video. Whatever we will record, we'll share it with you.
Okay.
So all of our, participants, see, this is Culture.place from Just Books.
Yeah.
So we have invited Mr. Swaminathan, who's a famous fiction author. So he would just present himself and he would just share his, experience and how he became an author and also about his new book. Okay. So, sir, you can take over.
Okay, first of all, very good evening and my grateful thanks to each one of you all who have made it a point to join this meeting. I honestly mean it. I thought if we make it a little more interactive, it will be interesting for all of us. So just let me first take a few questions of Priya. How did I start writing? Well, the first, piece that I wrote it for a school magazine and it was published. So I was pretty thrilled. After that, many years later, I had gone to Johannesburg on an assignment and I was working there. And Johannesburg is considered to be the crime capital of the world. Mugging, all this is very common. And one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you is when you are traveling, you get a flat on the highway, because then you are very vulnerable to everyone. So my bad luck, we had a flat on the highway. There were 4 or 5 other people with me. Some guys came and they stopped their car right in front of our car. So we thought, yes, this is going to be our first experience of a hijack. It turned out that they helped us. They repaired the car and sent us on our way. So I wrote that article and I sent it to the Reader's Digest. And to my surprise, the Reader's Digest published it. And I was over the moon. Not only did the Reader's Digest publish it, but in the next edition of the Reader's Digest, in the letters to the editor, there were a lot of people who said that they enjoyed reading this article very much. So then I thought maybe I have some talent as a writer. Then I wrote a couple of articles for the Hindu, about when I visited my ancestral village after some 40, 50 odd years. That was also published by the Hindu. Then there were a couple of publications here and there, and I was very happy. I am a big P.G. Wodehouse fan, and P.G. Wodehouse, to those of you who do not read P.G. Wodehouse, he's a very famous writer. What Charles Dickens was to his era, probably P.G. Wodehouse was to the earlier century that has just passed. So he created a character called Bertie Wooster there. And for some reason or the other, P.G. Wodehouse never got Bertie Wooster married. He would get entangled with some girl, and he would be about, there would be about, marriage would be about to be taking place, and then something would happen and it would fizzle out. Mainly book after book that happened. And then I was very disappointed because I was reading this book as a kid and I said that P.G. Wodehouse is not at all fair to Bertie Wooster. Anyway, I wrote this book, Enter Mrs. Bertie, a book in which P.G. Wodehouse, in which this character Bertie Wooster gets married. Now, I had my heart in my mouth when I wrote that book. For the simple reason is P.G. Wodehouse is an icon in world literature. Imagine tomorrow if let us say I write a sequel to Oliver Twist. How will people, I mean, I'm being very, right. Obviously, nobody is going to compare me with Charles Dickens. So when you try to create a character, when someone with that iconic status like P.G. Wodehouse, you take on a big challenge. Anyway, I was very surprised. The Hindu gave it a fantastic review. And because that was my first book, I was distributing it free. Then I said, okay. And there were a lot of brickbats, but there were a lot of bouquets as well. There were a lot of people who liked it a lot. And there were quite a few who did not like it. And they said, how dare you write about Bertie Wooster, etc., etc. There were some people who went so far, but they were very, very few, who said, no, we cannot make out any difference between you and P.G. Wodehouse. I've taken that with a pinch of salt, of course. And then there were guys who said, yes, this book is definitely readable. Now, I do not know how many of you all here have had corporate careers. I have had. And in quite a few, I would say in maybe 2-3 cases, I have not got along well. Okay. So be that as it may. So then I said, okay, let me write a book. I wouldn't like to portray the boss as a villain, but I would like to sort of, make it a little humorous and see whether I can bring in an element of humor and things like that and write a book about a boss. Then the next idea came is why not instead of just a plain murder mystery, why not let it be let it carry a corporate message. I don't want it that I should use a social message. Now I just want to know how many of you all are familiar with the term, whether it's been coined by me in the book or whether it is coined earlier, I do not know. How many of you all are familiar with the term called corporate bullies? If anybody is familiar, you can just say, yes, I'm familiar, or I can understand, or I can relate to what a corporate bully is. Can anyone just tell me that, okay, whether they've had an experience? Because see, it's an interactive session, right? So please go ahead and tell me, what do you think is a corporate bully? Anyone?
Deep.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Prabhash
you.
Gokan here. We've had corporate bullies in our careers. We've talked about.
Okay. So then initially I had planned that the name of the book will be Office Murder. Then my son came up with the idea and said, Office Murder is a little too tame. Why not make it Who Killed the Boss? It's far more catchy. So, well, Who Killed the Boss? I wrote it. And the book is, look, every author, whether he's famous, not famous, whether it's his first book, every cricketer dreams of making a century. Okay, every cricketer wants to go down in the records. Well, nothing wrong. That is why he is playing cricket. Okay, he doesn't play cricket, just so that he can pass time. Guys who take cricket, cricketing as a career. So, well, I thought that, okay, with my, with a lot of hope, I wrote the book saying that I hope it is a bestseller. Of course, P.G. Wodehouse and a lot of other authors, famous authors have said, don't expect any reaction from your first book. You'll be very, very lucky if you have a reaction from if people react from your first book. So don't worry, you have to keep writing. So anyway, Who Killed the Boss was, I would say, a reasonable hit. I wouldn't say millions of copies have been sold. I wish I could tell you that millions of copies have been sold. Unfortunately, I can't tell you that. But okay, for an unknown author, till date, I have sold about 100 plus copies. 50, 60, I would say, will be friends. But the balance, 80, 90 would definitely be total strangers. And every now and then one copy is getting sold. So I'm hoping maybe in 3-4 years, people will get the message of what a corporate bully is, what kind of people, and like how you raise your voice against corporate bullies. I also would like at some point of time that this book gets enough momentum. Our management gets also, the management in India, the management abroad becomes aware that there is such a thing as, corporate bullies. So it's a book, it's a very fast moving murder mystery. because an author also does, a lot of writing depends on the author. Me as an author, I don't like slow moving books. I cannot write, right? I like books that are fast, reasonably well paced. So I've tried to make it reasonably well paced, and I hope I've done justice to it. So I just want to carry the message that there is such a thing as a corporate bully, and you should put an end to it. If you see in our corporate history, some point of time we had these trade unions. And when I was young, I felt no, there should be no trade unions. Are very stupid and naive to say that the boss, should have all power. So it's very good to have trade unions. Trade unions came. Definitely, there were the pendulum oscillated. It oscillated in favor of the trade unions. They became very militant. Then it came in favor of the management. But now, if you see, it's striking a balance. Very rarely you hear about trade union, trade unions being militant. Everyone has realized that they are responsible, and trade unions, a job means so much to everybody. You have to be responsible. Then the other big act, I'm just mentioning the other big act that came sometime in the middle of my career, called sexual harassment. That was there to prevent women from being sexually harassed, from empowering women, so that they could not take any, they should not take any nonsense in the workplace, right? The workplace is a protected place. So now I hope at some point of time, or maybe not, my career is almost over, but I would say that, in my son's career and things like that, that we have some sort of issue, that a boss just cannot, be rude to people. For example, I have written in my book, my first boss, I left a blue chip company because I couldn't get along with my boss. He would be very polite to a clerk, but he would not be polite to me. I mean, obviously he was polite to a clerk because the clerk would tell him, get lost. Or, if he was, and the boss could not do anything. But I could not, because I was a management trainee. So there it is. So it's a murder mystery with a very strong corporate message. That's it. So Priya, anything else that you would like me to ask, or you would like to ask, or you would like, the participants to ask? We can go ahead.
Okay, so participants, you can just, who have read the book, you can just talk to the author. So your reviews, or, just go through the book, whoever have read, and just interact with the author.
Okay, I think to many of y'all who have not read the book, right, I'll just read a para or two from my book, maybe the first page. It has a bit of humor. It has, at least I think it has a bit of humor. And it is a very, very, I would say, minuscule reflection on my career. Okay, how it started. But I did not start a detective agency in my real life. I continued with the corporate world. I retired as a director. And I'm allowed to start a detective agency. This is it. So I think I'll just give about 5 minutes. Whoever wishes to have any further questions to ask, please ask. I would love it if it is interactive. You can, discuss anything that you wish. Any issues on corporate bullying, whatever.
So, Pradeep, this is Shoma.
Yeah.
I've read both your books, and I just wanted to say that if somebody hasn't, they've missed a treat. Both the books are excellent. Very, very different genres. I don't know how you crack both these genres so well. One is a completely humorous, tongue-in-the-cheek humor. The other one is, a very rapid flowing thriller. Excellent. So you've got a lot of talent, and here's hoping you're writing a few more books for us to enjoy. So that was it from my end. No criticism, because I really, really loved your books. You are aware of that.
Soma, you're an author's dream. Thank you very much. I only hope there are 1 million more people like you. That would really make me great. Thank you so much, Soma. Okay, what I will do is I will just read one para. I'll read the opening page from my book, because other than Soma, I don't think anyone else has interacted. You can always interrupt me and start. Okay. So I'm starting from chapter 1. I'm starting from the first para. And I'll just stop with one para. Okay, I don't want to, bore you all. And then again, we can have either an interactive session, or if that's it, then we can close it. Okay. So chapter 1, an act of murder. It had been over a year since I had opened my own detective agency. I had given it what I thought a very sophisticated name, Star Detective Agency. I would motivate the team by telling them that we were stars. I had not checked if there were any other detective agencies by that name, and when Stars Detective Private Limited was registered, there were no objections from any quarter, and my lawyer went ahead and registered it. A background as to why I decided to form this agency. I grew up in a family of achievers, but somehow was never one for keeping my nose to the grindstone. For some reason, Sherlock Holmes fascinated me since I was a small kid, and by the time I was 16, I had read his books about 100 times. Had I read my school textbook with this interest and ardor, I'd have also been an achiever. I finished school and college with a reasonable amount of ease. I did not do exceptionally well, but then I did not do exceptionally badly either. To satisfy the family, I did my chartered accountancy, and when I finished, I joined a multinational company in Bangalore selling tea. I could not stomach my boss, nor did I love my job. The only thing noteworthy in my 15 months of stay was a forgery case that I cracked. Well, to be fair, I had my share of luck. It was my 5th month at the job when one of the staff got a voucher for me to approve. The amount was small, a sum of rupees 250. However, it was for a strip of tablets, and to me it seemed a bit too costly. I'd always trusted my hunches, especially when I felt uncomfortable, and instead of signing the voucher, sent it to internal audit. They checked with the pharmaceutical shop and found that the cost was only rupees 25, and someone had added a zero. Most of the time, the person preparing the bill rarely has the time to write it in words. In this day and age, when computers are running our lives, a manually written bill was a rarity. A few, very few, did still come our way. The staff who submitted the voucher was hauled up and he claimed he was innocent. A handwriting expert was called. The expert went on record stating that the staff who had submitted the voucher was innocent. The suspicion then fell on the cashier. Since I had been the one who had ignited this bomb, I was asked to be part of the investigation team, and we went through all the vouchers of the last 1 year. It literally was like opening a Pandora's box, and the cashier, along with a few of the account staff, had forged the vouchers, manipulated the accounts, and stolen a fair bit of money. Some of the bank records had been forged using blank bank letterheads. The auditors too had been careless. I loved this assignment, and for more than 6 months, I was in some sort of a world where I imagined I was Sherlock Holmes. I had a colleague from internal audit by the name of Gautam Mitra who was truly a big help. Since the accounts were partly computerized on the IT side, I got help from a pretty IIT Bombay engineering graduate called Jayanti Natarajan. Jayanti was a big help and highly intelligent. In about 6 months, I could figure out approximately when the fraud had started. I submitted my report, pointed out the checks and balances that were absent, and suggested how such a fraud could be avoided in future. This is the opening 2 paragraphs of the book. So to those who have not read it, I do hope that you all will read this book. Priya.
Yeah, Pradeep ji, Kala here. Hi, good evening.
Yeah.
Right. So when I read your book, what I liked was there were so many functional knowledge and mystery and life in Bangalore and small snippets in the book. So how did you come about putting all this together so nicely in the book? I mean, how many rereadings and changes in the drafts did you have to do for that?
No, first of all, my corporate life in Bangalore has been, for the last 10 years. In last 6 years, I've been in Bangalore, 2010 to 2016. And Bangalore is a place where in my corporate life, I've had the most success. So obviously, Bangalore has become my favorite city. Jamshedpur, where I started my career, also is very much a favorite city. So all the haunts where I visit, like Koshi's, I think there is anybody who stayed in Bangalore must have visited Koshi's. MG Road, Brigade Road, all central Bangalore. So all of them are places where, you have a good time. Okay. So that is it. And a lot I have drawn from my corporate experience working, try to, figure my corporate experience and my imagination. I've tried to put it together. So once again, thank you so much for, for admiring or appreciating this fact. It is great. Okay. So that is it. So there's a lot of experience. And as for the editing, let me tell you, my wife did a very good job. My wife, Jaya, she did a very good job. She was very tough. She deleted a lot of lines. She corrected a lot of pages. So she did a great job in editing. So I think we only edited it twice, I think.
Yeah, then it's really good. It made a very good read, and it kept us riveted till the end. So both Naren and I loved the book. Thank you. So what's the next book that you're writing?
Yeah, the next book now I'm going to write again about this detective. It's Online Murder. That's I planned the name of the title as Online Murder. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, all the best, Pradeep.
Okay, thank you.
Pradeep, Madhavmurthy here.
Yes.
So it was a pleasure reading Enter Mrs. Bertie.
Yes.
But I confess that, due to not being able to buy a Kindle in Africa,
Yes.
I have not been able to read your second book, Who Killed the Boss. Probably I will do it in this month.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. So the mystery is still there. Who killed the boss? I have had my share.
Okay.
I've had my share of bully bosses.
Yes.
And one typical one would take the first flight out of the town. 5 o'clock he will take the flight, and 6 o'clock he will land at my the place where I am working.
Yes.
And he asked me, "Whom are you meeting now?" At 6 a.m. in the morning, I don't know which corporate world where somebody would be willing to meet him.
Yes.
Then I told him, when I tell him my first appointment is around 10 o'clock, then he would come his retort, "Madhav, you don't know how to fix appointments." That's the kind of bullying boss I had actually, but I've had a great share of great bosses also.
Yes.
So my reaction is that even though I have not read actually, your first book was very racy and you had really plotted end to end. You knew how the story would take a twist, where it would take a turn, and then how to control the events and then bring it all them together. I'm sure your second book also will be like that. I'll read soon. And I also look forward to meeting you soon because I have the privilege of being very close to you physically, and we have already met once. And my best wishes for
that once the quarantine is over, we will meet at Meenakshi Mall over a cup of tea. Unfortunately, Meenakshi Mall is not figured in Who Killed the Boss, but that's also a favorite joint of mine.
Okay, all the best for the second book.
Third book. Thank you,
book.
Madhav. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So any more
This
questions, you can just.
this Sasha has asked me. Sasha, the book is available on Amazon. Okay. I mean, just you Google Who Killed the Boss, Pradeep Swaminathan, or Who Killed the Boss, Amazon, it's there. It's both available on Kindle as well as it's available, the hard copy is available. So whatever you prefer, you can read.
Pradeep, Arindam here.
Yes.
How long did it take you to?
Yes, Arindam.
How long did it take you to write this second book? I remember when was it? 2013. You were thinking of something. Was the plot there in your mind at that time?
No. I'll tell you, it started exactly on the day the COVID lockdown started.
Oh, you mean, you thought out the plot in this 1 year?
Yes, March 25th, I started the book. Sometime in maybe August 15th or so, slightly before August 15th, I completed the book.
But you had some plot in mind in 2013-14.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of my other very favorite topics, which is close to my heart. That is, about, Kashmir.
About?
Kashmir.
Okay.
But then I said, no, you're too politically sensitive. I didn't want problems what do we call, the government on my head and all that. So I said, okay, let's write something far less non-controversial and non-political, and which to me is also a very dear topic. As close to as close as Kashmir is to my topic, this issue of the boss is also close to my topic, close to my heart. So I said, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, along with your third book, side by side, you should write also about, your current profile, about what these cooperatives, how you guys are helping out in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. It'll have.
And Arindam, nobody will buy it. I can write the book, but nobody will buy it.
No, you not. But
okay.
Put in your experience out there.
Okay, I'll do that.
This has.
What I will do is the fourth book, I'll make it a plot around the cooperative.
Okay, you can do that.
Okay, yeah, I'll work around the plot, regarding the cooperative.
Yeah, because many people don't, because with all these farmers crisis, farmers halla, many people don't know how, these some agencies are working at the grassroots level, like your Farm Veda is doing. There are some other also agencies, and I know of one who's doing it in Rajasthan with milk.
Okay. So definitely we'll do that.
Pradeep, see, I have visited Srinagar, Pahalgam sometime 30 years back. Just share us what are your thoughts on Kashmir, because at least this is a private forum. If it is so close to your heart, and share at least in a few words.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Kashmir? Because Kashmir is a subject which all of us are interested in. And I don't think there will be any political or government getting onto your back in this forum, actually. I would love to hear your views on
First,
Kashmir.
let me tell you, I'm very happy you asked me this. No, you asked me this question, and I have Arindam also with me here. He's also fairly a very big expert on Kashmir. See, Arindam, you can also correct me.
No, okay. Go ahead. It's your show.
Anything you wish to, give your view. No, not my show. I mean, it's all our show. Yeah, I have not yet reached that stage, Arindam, in life as an author yet, where it is my show. Maybe after 5 years, yes, but certainly not today. Okay, right. But it is like this. See, Madhav, in the sometime in 1979, 1980, when the Americans and the Pakis, they drove away the Russians. They had developed a very big jihadi group. Okay, they had developed a very big jihadi group, and what the Pakistani thought, or the Pakistani establishment thought, that they can use this, if this jihadi group can beat the Russians, this jihadi group will liberate Kashmir. Okay. Now, rightly or wrongly, unfortunately, our Indian army was so strong that these guys were badly beaten. Of course, they did a lot of harm. And I would not like to go into any of the controversial issues. I will not say that we were also totally blameless, but essentially this was the background on which the whole terrorism exploded. So Madhav, I promise you, over this cup of tea, I will tell you everything. These issues are too sensitive. I do not wish to discuss it here. But what happened is that uprising that they used the jihadis, that failed. And not only failed, that failed miserably. Now, the consequences of that, I'm talking from what happened in Pakistan. See, Madhav, any war that you fight, any war is very expensive. Be it terrorism, be it proxy war. Now, Pakistan is fighting a war on almost 3 fronts now. It's fighting a war with Iran. It is fighting a war with
in Afghanistan
and it is fighting a war with India. So it has bled their economy. So I think at this point of time, let us stop. I promise you, when we meet over a cup of tea, I will discuss all that I know about Kashmir threadbare. Let us go back to my book.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Anyone else, please do interact. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, whatever you wish, whatever you talk, right? On a totally lighter side, please just take this with a dash of humor, nothing more, right? To those guys who are not interacting, when I become a very famous guy, you will find it very difficult to interact.
So this
So
is an
here's your
opportunity
chance
to
to tell
encash.
someone that, look, yes,
It's an
opportunity,
opportunity
exactly,
to
Madhav.
encash.
And look, I knew Pradeep Swaminathan, and in his first author interaction, I was there. Okay. I totally
Yes, I
on the
will
lighter side. I mean, just as a joke,
No.
all of you all are so silent. I said, okay, right.
Yeah, I will share. I will share that. Yeah.
It's okay, yeah. But one thing is that I would also like to tell you that I have received a lot of support from my family and friends, family, classmates, right, who have gone about helping me on my way to become an author. And frankly, that to me is more than all the millions that I may get or I may not get. The fact that, you know, some of you all have made it a point, even have come here on this meet and have made it a point to participate. Some of you all have said such kind words. I don't know even whether an author of repute would get such kind words from people. Okay. So definitely that is also an experience that I would like to cherish. And here I just like to just mention it in passing. You know, in my house, when I was growing up as a kid, we never had a very good living room or, you know, an exceptionally, my dad never had a car or anything of that sort. But everyone around our house knew that in my house there was a huge library. In fact, when I meet guys after, let us say, 20, 30 years or 40 years, I meet some of my neighboring friends. They've forgotten my name, but they have not forgotten the fact that there was a big library in my house, which they have whacked books. Some of them, of course, have returned, and some of them are very apologetic that, look, yeah, we whacked 3-4 books and we were so shameless, we never returned it back to you. So here I'd definitely like to thank my mom and dad that, you know, they really played a very, very big role in, you know, in inculcating my love for reading and of course later my love for writing. I learned a lot of focus, etc., you know, from my dad. And my mom saw to it that I read all the good books, you know, like I remember Abraham Lincoln Tales to Read Aloud, Ruskin Bond, all those very good books, which really did my personality and probably my mental makeup a lot of good.
You are a very lucky person.
Thank you, Madhav. Thank you so much. Hey, but you're also a very successful guy. Yeah? So I don't know how you, thank you. Hey, Priya, you have to fill in, yeah. None of the people you have called seem to be asking questions. So Priya, please fill in.
Yeah, I was just listening to all your, coordinators there. I mean, they were all,
Yes.
interacting with you. So actually, I just wanted to ask you, I mean, getting into, writing is, a lot of reading also should be done, right? Before you are an author. I mean, seeing you as an author, earlier, how was your thing that you got into writing fiction only? How did you choose it? I mean,
see, writing fiction is, one of the advantages, or when you write a book, you get lost in that character.
exactly.
So you go into a world of your own. So that's a very big advantage when you write fiction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that particular minute, you're the hero, you can imagine whatever you want to be, etc., etc., etc. So that's a very big advantage. So, and when you finish the book, you hit reality. So writing books of fiction to me is far more interesting than doing research and writing on facts and things like that.
Okay.
For example, I will never write a well-researched book on Kashmir, but I may write a fictional book on Kashmir.
Okay.
Because when you write such a book, it has to be very well researched. You have to have your facts right. You have to have everything right. And then, today is with the social media so strong, with your internet and your, WhatsApp and all these things. I also speak for myself. Our attention span is decreasing. Our attention span is decreasing like anything.
Yeah.
So you have to write fast books. You have to write books which people will like. And above all, not only people will like, if you can manage to write a book which people can relate to and which people can like, you have got the combination for a bestseller. For example, let me say Madhav Murthy. Madhav Murthy immediately mentioned that, he had a very bad boss. All of us, we've all had bad bosses and we've all had good bosses. But he could immediately relate to a good boss. Can you imagine anything more stupid than this? That you come at 6 a.m. in the morning and you say, who's there for an appointment? And frankly, I can't think of anything more stupid. And thank God I had bad bosses. But Madhav, nobody as bad as that.
Okay, nice. Nice to hear. So this will motivate others also to be writers, hopefully, in this domain. And
Yeah.
any more questions? I mean, from others, please welcome.
Hey, PS, what are the most surprising thing that you learned about yourself in creating these two books? No, forget that, you have a gift for writing, not that. I mean, something which you learned.
See, Arindam, when I wrote Who Killed the Boss, right? I also realized that this guy is a human being. I realized that my boss also is a human being. Okay. And to a large extent, grudges, ill will, it has come down a lot. I realized he's also a human being. He's also a creature of circumstances, things like that. He's a creature of circumstances, how things have happened to him. No, see, nobody wants to be a bad person. None of us. I don't think any of my bad bosses also wanted to be bad. But okay, you have a background, you carry emotional baggage, you bring in a lot of your emotional insecurities, and that is a very bad cocktail. On the very humorous side, one of my friends, he asked, he sent me a message after I'd written this book, Who Killed the Boss? So his question was, look, in life, how can you be more miserable if you have a bad boss or a bad wife? Now I told him that any man can handle one. He can handle either a bad boss or a bad wife. I have not come across any guy who can handle both. And if they can't handle both, they become bad bosses themselves. So of course, some of my other friends said that, look, you can resign and you can leave a company and get another boss, but it's very difficult to change your wife. So I'm just on the lighter side. Yes. And the other thing, that, okay, how much you have to go into attention, how much you have to edit, how important it is to have somebody with you who can edit, because normally when you write something, you are not able to judge what you have written. So there's another person who's there who help you and say, no, this is out of the context, or this is not in good taste, and things like that. It is that much more better. So if you have a very good editor with you, the chances of you writing a good book increases in very big proportion.
When does the editor come into the scene? After you have completed the plot?
Yeah, after you complete the book.
And do you think writing is energizing or exhausting?
It is energizing and therapeutic. Both. Okay, right.
Then what
That's a
are
good
the
one.
traps for an aspiring writer?
What?
Common traps for an aspiring writer?
The first thing, that, look, you have to get it out of your head that whatever you write will be liked. If suppose you expect that everybody when I write this book will say you have written a brilliant book, you're in for a lot of trouble. Okay. You have to accept criticism, especially from the editor. If the editor says, no, this is repetitive, this is not in good taste, you cannot fight with the editor. You have to take a very conscious decision and say, yes, is the editor, does the editor make sense? Is the editor not making sense? And you have to discuss with the editor. So it's sort of, it is like, as an individual also, that you have to learn to accept criticism. For example, in my first book, Enter Mrs. Bertie, I recollect somebody from, some P.G. Wodehouse fan, blue-blooded P.G. Wodehouse fan, saying that, look, you have spoiled the character of Bertie Wooster and all the people around.
I saw it in that group.
Okay, right. So that time it hits you. But also you have someone else, I don't know whether he meant it or not, he says that you're very close to PG Wodehouse. Right? So you have to take both and you have to balance it. And in the end, you say that, okay, yeah, I am writing because I want Bertie Wooster to get married, full stop. If you don't like it, the book is not for sale. I have no intentions of selling this book. You want, you read it. If you don't want, don't read it. And the other thing is, see, I'm not, like for example, PG Wodehouse at the young age of 25, 26, I'm talking about some of the authors. He made that his career. He lived out of his writing. He couldn't stomach working in a bank. Okay. So at that point of time, if you can make a living out of writing, I think that is your challenge as a writer. So, with authors who make a living out of their life, make a living out of it, and me, there is a huge gap. So I don't consider myself as a, author per se. Okay, good friends are there, family is there. They say, okay, the test is here. Now let us see how many books, how many copies Who Kills the Boss sells. See, it zoomed to 100, right? I myself was surprised. My publisher was surprised that the speed at which 100 copies got sold. After 100, the trajectory is a little slow. But still, okay, now there are guys in the US, in England also, who are buying the books. So that's it, but it's slow. Anyway.
No.
But yeah, one thing, the bitterness and the grievances that I had against my bosses have come down considerably. So to that extent, it's been a lot of, I would say it's been very therapeutic.
Some authors came into this world accidentally, like Agatha Christie. He was never a writer. It was her elder sister who challenged her to write a book. I understand that she was also not good in her grammar. So it was her elder sister who challenged her to write a book and show it to the world that, her grammar is good. That's how that Murder of Roger Ackroyd, if that is her first book.
Her first book was The Mysterious Affair at Styles.
Mysterious Affairs at Styles. Yeah, right. That's how that book came.
I'm also a very, very accidental writer. Okay. No intentions whatsoever of becoming an author. But okay, just all right. One more thing, especially now that I have retired, and once, let us say, the cooperative, the factory we are starting, once the factory starts, I will be tied up. But till such time, okay, I have time on my hands. So, and I love posting on Facebook, much to the annoyance of a lot of people. But that's also one form of writing. Okay.
It's good to have an urge to write. Then it is good to publish it also.
Yeah.
You don't have to start very young, Not
Yes.
necessarily.
Yes,
Not necessarily.
agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay, in future, do you want each of your book to be a standalone, or you're trying to build a body of work?
No, I built a character called Prakash Chari, who's a detective. So at least 2-3 books.
You'll do it around that.
Yeah, I will do it around that. Okay. They already got a personality. Some of the other guys tell me he eats too much, he thinks too much, absent-minded guy. So he's already got a personality, and 2-3 of my friends, not family, mind you, my friends, right, have started saying that they want a third book. So I've told them that once Who Killed the Boss touches 1,000, the day it touches 1,000, I've promised them that I will write the third book. 1,000 is not much, but still it is something.
Pradeep, did you call Fekunanda for the session? What would
No,
he
I
have
did
said?
not call him. Okay. Right. I should have called him, but I did not call him.
Yeah, so you can share a message from him for us.
Okay,
What would he have said?
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, now you can say, what did you do with your first advance?
Which, no, yeah, it is first advance. I have not even collected it. It's still there. Okay. I don't want to embarrass the publisher. So it's still there. Yes, it's there. All I have to do is say, send it to my account. So I've told him that when the number of books, when the first, at least this first lot sells out, then I will take the advance. Priya,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, sir. So that's what it was very nice. I mean, speaking to all of them, your experience, it was so nice. So I was expecting some more,
Yeah, I will also, but I'm thankful. Most of the people who have come, who have attended this are my good friends.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Priya, thank you.
Yeah.
My gratitude to Just Book also for organizing this.
Exactly. Lot of
event.
our, front office staffs are also there. Okay.
Yeah.
So they are enjoying your session. But
Okay.
they are yet to read your book. So we will make them, to just get a
Yeah.
copy of your book
Yeah.
in all our stores. Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it will be done shortly. And thank you so much for joining.
No,
We are
and
really-
I should also thank all my good friends and who have been really behind me and really made me feel great like an author. My gratitude. Thank you so much.
Hey, did you write every day or whether
I wrote every day. I had a
there were
routine.
allotted hours?
Yes, I had allotted hours. I had a routine and I followed that routine strictly.
Hey, Pradeep, I have a question too. Did you, and personally, I find this interaction very well, and I hope your humor is reflecting in the characters too.
You have to read the book and find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely do.
Okay.
Did you have to spend, did you actually do workshops on all this to gain skills in writing or plot?
No. See, like I will tell you something, all of us, where, we all have our own imagination. You don't have to attend any workshop to write. But look, there is one thing is there. If you have to be an author, especially of fiction, you should love fiction and you should have read a lot of fiction.
Definitely let you know.
For example, Enid Blyton, P.G. Wodehouse, Sherlock Holmes, all these people, they fired my imagination. So this is my take. I may be wrong, right? So unless you love reading, it's very difficult for you to become an author.
Got you. Yeah, thanks much. My kids are also here, so it's a huge motivation, to hear that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So look, one more thing about Who Killed the Boss, and that is also my style. You can read these books to your kids safely.
Oh, great.
You don't have to censor anything. You can read your books. You can read them aloud. And yes, I don't know how old your kids are. Maybe Enter Mrs. Bertie will be a little too strong for them in the senses, the vocabulary, because I had to write like P.G. Wodehouse. But one of the feedbacks that I have received from some people is that they have used Who Killed the Boss to get their children to start reading. I take that as a very big compliment.
That's a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will read through the book definitely for sure, and we will help you celebrate the 1,000.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
To become sorry.
Okay. Once again, thank you. Yeah. Priya, can we close the session?
Okay, one last question, PS.
No. Why one last question? Yeah.
No. What to become a better writer? What is that one thing that you're ready to sacrifice?
My God, yeah. To become a better writer.
I mean, good writer, but to be, to improve upon your writing skills. What is that one thing that you are ready to sacrifice? In your,
I think
anything in your daily life.
No. You have to become
In your daily routine, rather.
What I think is that I have to do more research. I have to spend more time, especially if I'm writing historical books, like say, for example, the book on Kashmir, if I write. Even if I write it as fiction, I have to do a lot of research and I have to keep away my personal biases and prejudices. For example, when I had started on the first manuscript of what do we call this book? It was, I forget, it was First Strike. The name of the book was First Strike and it is stopped. It is no more. First Strike runs into some 20, 30 pages and after that it has stopped. Okay. In First Strike, I wrote that the people there were now ready to accept the government of India. I wrote this about 2-3 years back when I started First Strike. And I always give it to a few of my critics. They said, no, that's not correct. You may want to feel that way, but that is not it. So you have to take away your biases. You have to take away what you want, right? And you have to stick more to history. You have to stick more to facts, and you have to do research. You have to, like you sent me some very nice books. I remember some very nice literature on what had happened. So one has to go painstakingly take notes, weave it into your book. It takes a lot of hard work. To write fiction about a detective is far more easier. For example, Freedom at Midnight. Right? It's a brilliantly researched book. Then that guy, William Dalrymple. That last book that he wrote about the loot.
Anarchy.
Can you imagine the amount of research?
That's that, you know, in over the years, should form curriculum in
yes,
in Indian history.
Even I did not know.
Or university. That
yes.
become a curriculum.
Sometimes, you
part
know,
of the curriculum.
Oh, let me tell you, Arindam, today I am ashamed that I cannot speak an Indian language better than English. After reading not even the full book of William Dalrymple's Anarchy, just that line that in 200 years, from 33% of world GDP and the English 3% of world GDP, they reversed it. And I have Googled and I have seen in those years the wealth, how their wealth has increased. Bemel, the earlier company that I worked for, had its office, you know, has got one of its plants at Kolar. And if you see the old Kolar offices, you know, which the British had, they're out from a museum. What wood, what finish, you know. It's just something out of a museum, and even today they are fantastic. All the gold in Kolar is now in England. The entire railway network that they had, don't think that those guys put it because they were benevolent. The railway network was from the interiors to the ports, that all our wealth could be drained out to the British. And Arindam, I am writing a P.G. Wodehouse book. I am writing Who Killed the Boss, all in English, right? I don't know Hindi, I don't know Tamil, and I don't know Malayalam or Kannada as well as I know English, which is something I am totally ashamed of. But okay, that's it, can't be helped. No, that is the power an author has got. Maybe William Dalrymple didn't want to do that. But that's what he did.
Archaeologist.
Sorry?
William wanted to be an archaeologist.
Okay.
Other author by chance.
Okay.
Actually, William Dalrymple is such a wonderful storyteller. I remember around 5-6 years back, in the Tata Lit Life Festival in Bombay. I had come down to Bombay for 2 days just to attend that because Naren had some work here that time. And I happened to see him live speak about his book. So he was talking about the thugs of Afghanistan and how, not exactly the thugs, the tribes of Afghanistan, and how no one has conquered. And that's why he said that the war that America has over there, they will lose because no one has won over there. And I was able to hear him live. He was so mesmerizing and he's a wonderful storyteller. If he tells a story, of course we read the book, but I was so lucky to hear him say that. I was very mesmerized. So then Pradeep will have you in one of the Tata Lit Live sessions.
That, Kala, I don't know if it will happen. If it does, I will remember your words, but going by the current track record, unlikely. But one thing here I just want to mention about that, since you've talked about Afghanistan.
Yeah.
When I was doing my CA in Delhi, Chartered Accountancy in Delhi, some of these Afghan refugees had come into India. I'm talking, it happened during 79-80. They were in defense colony. They were given a lot of UN money and things like that, refugee status. So I spoke to one guy and you know what he told me? He says for them, Afghans love fighting. Just like how we like to play cricket.
Yes.
Right? They get pleasure out of fighting. And you know, they will never be united. That's what, I don't know how far it's true. Because they're too tribal, their tribal instinct is too deep. and they love fighting. They cannot
Actually, this is exactly what William Dalrymple also said. He said they are small tribes, each very strong, each self-sufficient, and a small tribe is good enough to beat the US Army. I mean, they don't even have to get together to do that. That's what he
They're
was
guerrilla
mentioning.
warfare. They're experts in guerrilla warfare. Yeah.
Very
So-
interesting. Very interesting. Thanks, Pradeep.
No, I should thank you again, once again. So Priya, can we close this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It was really
Yeah.
good. I mean,
Before that, I promise that I'll buy the book in a couple of days. You'll see sales going up by 1.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. At least, yeah.
and also another message is you can find this book at Just Books also. So we'll be,
Okay.
putting it
So
in our store.
Priya, you have to tell your people that this book is available in Just Books.
Yeah,
and you
we
can
can
say
we
that-
have fiction, Just Books has demand for fiction books.
Yeah.
So we will coordinate. I mean, we need some of the, copies to our stores.
Okay.
So whoever didn't get book, you can just drop into Just Books and take a copy of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll buy from Just Books. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Pradeep.
I should thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
all of you all for joining. Otherwise, the number would have been far less. Chalo, okay, bye.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
Bye.
Pradeep.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No.